On today's episode of the CLS Experience, we have a very exclusive treat. He is a 1 in a trillion high energy and unique stage performer, highly talented in the fields of both music and magic. You'll recognize him as the winner of the hit show America's Got Talent, also known as AGT, No Big Deal. He won $1 million grand prize and catapulted himself into stardom, where he now headlines his own show in Las Vegas called Here Comes Trouble, where he displays his hybrid of both his passions, music and magic. He's a man of faith and has become a beacon of hope and inspiration to millions. He's just a juggernaut in all facets of life and a terrific husband and father. Please welcome the dynamic, electric, entertaining, impactful, and multifaceted, handsome Dustin Tavella. How you doing, Dustin?
Hey, what's going on, man? I'm good, bro. How are you?
I'm doing good, brother. It's funny because we probably could have chatted for an hour before we hit record, but obviously we're going to save some of the juicy stuff for the show. But we're fans, and you have an awesome story, buddy. And I'm excited to share your story with my audience. We're a couple million now who may not be familiar.
Yeah, for sure, dude. No, I'm excited to be on here, bro. I appreciate you taking time and having me to taking time to chat and stuff, bro. It's gonna be fun.
Absolutely, buddy. And for the audience listening, like we're a couple million strong. My suggestion: go do a deep dive. Check out all the awesome stuff Dustin has going on. If you're not familiar, go to his show, his website, all that stuff. Download his music. What I think is most valuable today is we just have an unbelievable conversation. Before we jump around, we're going to get a little weird. You ready for me, Dustin?
Yeah, let's do it.
What is your superpower, brother?
I think it's funny as a magician, right? Like, what is your superpower? I'm supposed to have powers. I think that my greatest power, and one of the things that I try to communicate through my act, which actually is why I love this question. I think it's always this thing of like, for me, the question is like, what is magic? And for me, the most magical thing a person can do is to just do everything that they can to lay down their life to bless another person, man. And so I would say one of my superpowers is my drive to have the kind of perspective it takes to make an impact that matters versus an impact that only affects me.
Isn't that what it's all about? Making an impact, brother?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that you just said that. To be honest with you, like when I was a bit more immature and unevolved on Wall Street, like I used to seek validation in other ways, like looking good in the gym or making a lot of money and stuff like that. But now that I've reinvented myself and, I've grown a lot, the best validation that I can get is somebody listens to this podcast and hits me up and goes, Craig, I listened to the episode with you and Dustin, and something you guys talked about really helped me change my perspective and it made an impact.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, and I'm actually working on some new stuff now. And one of these things is talking about like, the power of words. As a magician, it's expected I'm gonna be able to make stuff appear or disappear, change with my hands, right? I'm gonna be able to guess your card and all these things. But like, what does that really matter if all it is just like, oh wow, that was a cool thing, right? So for me, the things that I've been through, the things that I've learned in life, the things that I've experienced, those are the things that have added value to my life and hopefully can add value to other people's, especially if they can learn from the stuff that I've learned and maybe get ahead a little bit, right? I think that's one of the greatest things that we can do for the generations under us, man, is to share what we have and hope that they do better than us, right? We're not supposed to be competing as humans. I think we're supposed to be helping and lifting each other's arms. So it's kind of just become my goal. And one of the things I love, and it's not always easy, right? It's like one of those things where when you're in the limelight, when you're on a stage or on any kind of platform, you need the right people around you to keep you in check. And I think that's the next thing that for me is just super valuable, man, is having the kind of people around me that are willing to tell me the truth, that are willing to kind of knock me upside my head when I need it. So yeah, man, that's been another goal, is just like not only building my stage presence, but also building like my off stage presence and who I am when I'm not, saying the stuff when people are watching, but who I am when people aren't watching.
Yeah, such great points, buddy. I want to acknowledge that. So much to unpack there. And something that you said towards the end is like having people around you that, as I like to say, won't co-sign your bullshit, right? Like they'll call you out if you're not doing the best job or not putting in the maximum effort, whatever the case may be. I think that's so important. Like back in the day, like I used to like to have employees around that like would say yes or like tell me what you want to hear, but you realize that's not really how we grow.
Yeah. And I think too, like, it's funny. It's like people who just have the right value system, right? Because for me, I just want people who already know what's important, and then they're going to remind me of what's important. So, it's like those moments when you start getting too busy, like, hey, I have 2 little boys that need my attention, right? And so like at some point I have to start saying no to things, right? And to be able to have friends that can just tell me like, hey bro, I think you need to be spending more time with your family, or hey bro, I think you're getting a little bit caught up in like the business end of this, and you've forgotten the value of who you are. You're not just like, I didn't win AGT because I do magic, right? Like I think I would like to believe that I won because I'm a human that people were able to connect with. And for me, that's the greater win, right? Like I'm not just there trying to impress people with a talent that I practiced, but to be able to inspire people with character that I've worked for. And I think that is the more valuable thing. And so I think, yeah, just having people with that same value system that obviously when it comes to my art, to my craft, I can be like, dude, that magic trick sucks, right? People who can be honest. But I think even more so, again, to remind me of the things that just really matter, bro. Like what I'm doing with my time, how I'm talking to people, how I'm communicating. Yeah, it matters.
Yeah, hell yeah, buddy. And this is gripping. And I want to acknowledge you, like, yes, you create a feeling in the audience because you're awesome at what you do. But the way you show up, right? Like your character, and like that goes a long way. And people can kind of sniff out like who's real, who has integrity, who has good character, who's doing stuff for reasons, and who doesn't. And I think that definitely plays a big role in your success so far.
Yeah. Thanks, bro. Yeah. And you know, it's like, it's just one of those things where you have to continuously remind yourself that like your value, your worth, your impact, like none of those things can be defined by just people's opinions. And even though you need to like listen to people and hear their response to what you're doing, you know, there's always going to be the people who are trying to find the faults, right? Just the haters, the people who literally the most important thing they do in their life is sit in front of the YouTube videos commenting you know, just stupid stuff, just whatever they think, whatever they hate about everything. And it's like those people are just never going to be happy. But the reality is like we live in a culture where feedback is just so, it's right there, right? Like everything is measured in numbers and comments and downloads and views and followers. And I think to also kind of like one of the things that I say is if the greatest impact you're making is coming from the stage, you're in danger, man, because if you're not making impacts off the stage where people can't just start tearing everything apart and criticizing everything, like I need to be confident in what I'm doing because I know that there are people in my life that I'm investing into, that I am pouring into, that I'm offering my resources, my time, my finances to help make them better. Like I need to know that those things exist and I can see the fruit of that, because otherwise, man, you start going up and trying to do things in front of people. I mean, you look online at comments, bro, people talking about you're just exploiting your family, exploiting your kids, you're trying to do this and trying to do that. And it's like, it's easy to fall into this belief system that what people are talking about, that the people who don't really even know you, that there's something, that there's truth in what they're saying, and it can tear you down pretty quickly. And so for me, I'm also a huge advocate for like, man, if you're going to talk about your passion for bullying, right, and how you're like so anti-bullying and all that stuff, then you better have some kids in your life that are being bullied that you're having lunch with once a week and pouring into and investing into, right? Because if you're just talking about it from the stage and not in real life, you're going to start getting sucked into like very easily this this kind of just this process, this routine that we get into where it only becomes about impressing people and getting good feedback. And I just don't think that's a possibility in a world full of people who just want to sit and hate all the time.
Yeah, so true, buddy. I love that, my man. And it's so true. Like they're out there, especially now more than ever, right? And the crazy part about social media is it's so powerful for so many good reasons. But for maybe some of the negative reasons, it gives people like that a voice, right? People
Yeah.
are just like, yeah. But it is what it is. We can't be available for all that stuff. Otherwise, we'll never move ahead. And also another spin is when you start getting stuff like that, as they like to say, you've arrived.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I think that's why like my encouragement to anybody who's ever like chasing their dream is to just be in a place where like, yo, just make sure that you like to me, no one can take away your ability to encourage a person, right? To see a person who maybe has been overlooked and to give them time. You might not have all the money in the world. You might not be the best at articulating yourself. You might not have some skill that's going to put you on a stage. But what anybody can do for another human is give them time. And you might not be able to do it for a lot of people, and that's okay. Like I think the most valuable impact we can make is with a select few, to take what we've learned from that, to take what we've gained from that, what we've learned from that person, what that person has learned from us, and then hopefully inspire other people to do the same. Because if we're only inspiring people to look at us, there's no multiplication. We're not actually we're not actually creating the kind of impact on culture that drives the kind of change that actually is going to do what this world needs, right? And so for me, it's like, how can we create that kind of multiplication that that outgrows us?
Bang. That's where we drop the mic, but we'll just get warmed up. This is awesome, brother. And I love how mindful and present you are. It's something I really work on too. And that's what makes such a powerful conversation. I wanted to ask you this, like, let's get right into it. Did you ever lose that sense of wonder, like that spark, or you always had it and you just needed the right opportunity to kind of display it to the world?
Honestly, man, I think that it's like a thing that I fight for every day. I think it's very easy to become numb to the magic of life, the things that we're passionate about, especially because how measurable things are as far as success, right? And I think when we don't define what success is, it's easy to just get burnt out. And so, like I always tell people, you know, for me, how much I'm enjoying my life right now and how successful I feel has nothing to do with America's Got Talent on a good day, right? On my insecure days, I'm looking to be validated by my credentials. But on a good day, you know, I think that I try and live the kind of life where I, like you said, I am fighting to be present. And that's a thing that takes work, man. It takes discipline. I mean, now because of things like social media, because of these things that are always fighting for our attention, it's easy to be drawn to so many other places, to be influenced by so many things trying to influence me, and I start to forget about the influence that I actually have. Right, I'm trying to shape a culture that has shaped me, and so, you know, I think when it comes to just that drive and that hope and that belief, man, that's a thing I lose on a regular basis, and I have to remind myself and have the discipline to do it. And I think that's another thing, like within my messaging, man, it's like, and it's why, just going back to the beginning of this conversation, why it's important to have the right kind of people in your life, because I think that success comes from a tribe, right? Like multiple people together fighting together for the same goal, for the same purpose, and I think that's how we stay excited about the things that matter. You know, that's why I wake up in the morning. I'm like, dude, I'm stoked about making this next magic trick that's going to be performed on this next platform. Why? Well, it's because the message that's behind it, bro. I'm like, it takes 2 seconds for me to look online and find some other magicians and be like, well, they're way better than me. Why am I even doing this? Right. But no one has my story. There's other people that can do the magic that I do, right? Like magic's one of those things. You can walk into a magic shop, buy a magic trick, walk straight to the bar, to your college, to your school, to your church, anywhere, and start performing. So like what makes magic unique is who you are. And I think when I can stay in that space of being excited about my life and not my craft, my life is what fuels my craft, if that makes sense.
Let me put it to you like this, and I've had some of the all-time greats on the show, and they all say something similar. Magic is what you do. It's not who you are.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You're
Yeah.
so much
Yeah.
more than that. And that was beautifully articulated.
Oh, thanks, man. I think that, like, man, bro, I feel like there's just so many, I think there's so much power in words. And it's why I love, you know, people like you who are doing this stuff, man. You're creating space to have these conversations, to
Yeah.
hopefully inspire people, even if it's not inspired specifically by what we talk about, but at least inspiring them to have those meaningful conversations, right? Like, I think creating space for words that matter versus just, you know, celebrity gossip and these things that people obsess over, it's such a waste of time, man. We're sitting here obsessing over what other people are doing with their lives and our opinions about it, rather than creating space to talk about how we can do things that will hopefully impact a person.
That's it. You nailed it. And I know asking you about AGT, like that could be a whole, multi-hour conversation. I don't want to get too much into it, but for the most part, how was the experience?
It was great, man. It was a wild ride. I don't know how much of my stuff you watched, but man, my wife and I were just in a crazy place before AGT, trying to figure out what exactly we were going to do. I really believed that that there was something to this magic thing. I think especially because of the storytelling aspect, I was like, man, this is a way to creatively express the things that we've learned, right? The messages that we've had inside us for so long. The magic became such a thing to express that, and we just believed in it, bro. All of our money, all of our time went into this thing, and you know, we got to a point. You know, at one point, my wife and I, we were down to, like, you know, not a lot of money, wondering like where income was going to be coming from. And we had our son who we had adopted. And when we adopted him, without getting too much into that whole backstory, you know, we were never expecting to adopt when we did, but we were working with this organization that helps women in crisis pregnancies. My wife and I were living in this home with just all these pregnant chicks, bro, like all going through different drama, normally some kind of physical abuse involved, normally some kind of drug abuse involved. And long story short, we got really close with one of the girls, and she ended up asking us to adopt her son. And so, you know, we were just kind of building our family with him, trying to figure out what life was going to look like. And I get onto AGT, I do my audition, and the first thing is about our son and his birth mother doing the hardest thing any mother could ever do, which is ask someone else to raise their kid. And literally, bro, after that audition, that thing airs, I'm gearing up, trying to figure out what's next for the live shows. And we get a phone call asking if we'll adopt his older brother, because his older brother's situation was a little bit more complicated. We didn't think we were ever going to get to see these kids grow up together, man. It was something we were wanting to fight for and believing for, but we just didn't ever know that it was possible. And so, like, in the midst of being in one of the most life-changing moments of my life, with all this AGT stuff, I'm getting on this platform. I'm like, yo, I need to work hard for this, man. I need to seize this moment. I need to take advantage of this opportunity. I need to put everything into these performances, because they're going to set up, you know, this next chapter of our lives. You know, that's enough weight in itself. But to be like, hey, also, can you take in this other child, right? Who, you know, we need to now bond with and grow. And he went from being an only child. Xander, the son that we already had, was an only child, and now we're putting these two brothers together. I mean, gosh, bro, that's a whole nother thing to rock your world. And so, I mean, bro, we were doing this all at once, dude. We had him for a week in our home in Virginia Beach, and we took off, bro. We were 2 months in the hotel with two toddlers, bro, which is a whole nother thing. If you've never spent time in a hotel room with toddlers, it's exhausting. And now we have two of them, one who we're getting to know, right? We just welcomed into our home, while I'm like stressing out trying to come up with these performances. It definitely stretched me in a lot of ways. And there was times I just wanted to quit, bro. I was like, I don't think I have the capacity to be able to do this. But man, the grace of God was all over us, bro. I feel like we have, again, a great support system, because we've taken time to build the right people around us. And, you know, we had people show up to the hotel. My parents came through and helped out with the boys. And the support from AGT was actually really great, man. There's a lot of amazing people who work on that show who were stoked about trying to just make our experience the best that it could be. And for that, I'm forever grateful. But all that to say, it was a really exciting experience. It was super fun, but it was incredibly stretching and exhausting, dude. Just, you know, and especially every time you make it through, we had less and less time to come up with new acts. I never expected to make it as far as I did on the show. So, you know, we get through.
But your wife did. I did my homework.
I know, right?
I know your wife was manifesting you winning the whole time.
Hey, come on, bro. Yeah, it was one of those things. She definitely was behind it. She's like showing me these reminders. I wrote this in 2018, right? So, yeah, definitely having her belief behind me, bro, was incredible. She was taking the boys every day, you know, and she would say sometimes it was hard for her too. You know, she felt like a single mom taking care of two toddlers in a hotel while I'm trying to be present, but I'm also, my head is in the game, right? Because I'm also trying to build the future for these boys. And so, man, she was just such a freaking hero, dude, through this whole time, you know, especially, I mean, we're in Hollywood, dude. What's a kid gonna do in Hollywood? It's the hotel, and then there's traffic. You know what I mean? Like, where's she gonna go? So I'm telling you, bro, that's why I cried so much when I won, bro. It was like, this was not me. This was an army behind me that helped make this possible, dude. Like, it was my wife, it was my parents, it was our friends, it was our church, it was all of our mentors and all these people, bro. So I feel like I got credit for something that I played such a small part in.
Yeah, I love the acknowledgement for that. So right after you win, like, how quickly did everything begin to change for you guys?
Oh, dude, right away. So again, I never expected to make it as far as I did on the show. I literally, the night that I won, our lease was up in Virginia Beach, and we had no place, dude. Like, I called them. I was like, yo, look, you know, we're here. I just won AGT. I don't know if we're going to continue to stay there, because now we got Silas as well. We needed a little extra space. And so, you know, I always joke that I won AGT and became homeless all in the same night, because I was like, I have no clue where we're going, bro. So I told him, I was like, hey, can we just get a couple extra days? The apartment was very gracious. Literally, I won the show. I found out I was going to be on Ellen in like 2 days. So I had to come up with a whole act to be on Ellen. Did that. A couple other talk shows, a couple other radio interviews.
The Ellen segment was great, by the way. I watched it last night. And for the audiences, you should definitely check it out.
Yeah, thank you, bro. But literally from that, so we had sent the boys to Pennsylvania because my parents were with us in Hollywood. They took the boys to Pennsylvania. We flew to Pennsylvania, got a U-Haul, brought it to Virginia Beach, because we had a bunch of we drove to Virginia Beach, got a U-Haul there, loaded up our whole apartment in a day, bro. We had all of our friends come and everything, like all of our stuff just load up in a day. Moved it back to Pennsylvania where we had a bunch of our stuff at my parents' spot. Got a truck to be able to ship our stuff out, put all the stuff from the U-Haul into there, all the stuff from my parents' place into there, ship that out to Vegas because we thought we were going to move here, bro. We didn't even have a place yet. The dude like delivering our stuff, shipping our stuff, he's like, well, where am I taking this? He's like, what's the address? I'm like, we don't have an address yet, dude. Like, just drive towards the West Coast, and hopefully by the time you get there, I can tell you where we're going to live. So, bro, everything was just like one step of faith after the next step of faith.
I was about
to
say, talk about faith.
Dude, we literally shipped our stuff with no idea of even if this contract here in Vegas was going to go through, because we were figuring out the show here in Vegas still, and hadn't signed anything for that, and still trying to figure out what exactly we wanted to do. So it was insane, bro. It was a crazy whirlwind, and I still feel like we've been in it a bit. We're just now kind of settling. My run in the AGT show in Vegas ended. It was supposed to go till November, but now I have some other things that I'm getting ready to start building towards, which I'm really excited about. So yeah, man, life has just been a wild freaking ride from before AGT up until this point. So we're still kind of soaking it up.
Awesome, bro. And you deserve all of it. And look, life happens for us, not to us. Like, no coincidences. Like I know you went through a lot to get to this moment. But what I love is, like, you're just making a gigantic impact, brother. You're inspiring so many, and simply put, you bring joy to people. And
thank you, man. That means the world.
Priceless? Bro,
that means everything to me, bro. Thank you, man. Seriously, that's a huge compliment.
Yeah, hell yeah, buddy.
Yeah, I think like people a lot of times, they might come up like, oh my gosh, the magic was so amazing and this was incredible, right? And that feels good when people can acknowledge my craft. I mean, I've worked hard to build and to create the things that I have. But like, bro, the stuff that moves me, man, is like the stuff that humbles me, right? Like, I feel like, how could little old me have made this impact on somebody? So many people who have either been adopted, who've been angry at their birth parents for a long time. They're like, yo, you helped me to have I've been angry my whole life until you gave me like a different perspective on adoption, right? Or people who have like placed their children in other homes and have had their kids adopted, to be like, I've never been so proud to have made the decision that I made, you know what I mean? And people who have adopted because they've heard the story, bro, like kids who had no home that now have a home because of this, dude. Like, that's the stuff I'm like, when someone comes up and tells me these kinds of things, man, I feel like I don't want to say I don't deserve it, but like, it's humbling, man, to feel like that we as humans can have that big of an impact. And that's what I want to drive home, bro, to anyone who's even listening to this, to anyone who ever like sees me perform on a stage. Like, what I want to drive home is like, we as humans, man, we can do incredible things. We can have an incredible impact on the lives of people. And the impact that I have is not because I won America's Got Talent, because there's people that will say, oh, well, it's easy for you. You have the platform and you won. I'm like, you have no idea what my life was like before this whole thing happened, bro. Like, we had nothing, and we're still doing everything that we can to drive home the fact that people have worth and value, and to serve others. And I think that's the thing, man, is like, I think we as humans need to stop making excuses and realize that there's a power inside of us, a God-given power inside of us that we aren't even aware of, man. We get to do amazing things in the lives of other people, and it does not just come through being successful.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Specifically, you're talking about a lot about faith, and I know that's played a big role for you. And it's interesting because I grew up Jewish, but over the last couple of years, my relationship with God has really strengthened, and I'm open, and like, less important to me is religion. More important is my relationship with God. And a lot of people on the show, like, they're really big into your faith and Christianity and stuff like that. And I just find it so interesting. And I'm just curious, like, was faith always a really important component in your life?
It's funny, man, when I think a lot of people who have beef with the church, a lot of times, I think rightfully so, I think the church has dropped the ball in a lot of ways. But I think a lot of them have been hurt by the church. They were forced to go to church when they were young. For me, when I was young, my family was not like what I didn't grow up in like a Christian family when I was younger. My parents had a lot of issues without going into all of their stuff, drugs, alcohol, partying, affairs, everything that could be wrong with a marriage, like my parents were dealing with. And man, there just came a point where, and I shared a little bit of this on the show, but there was this other couple that came into my parents' lives, and they didn't preach at them, bro. They didn't like just tell them all the stuff they were doing wrong. They literally stepped into their lives. They served our family. They, you know, they would hang out with us. They would spend time with us. They would go to carnivals with us. They would stay up late talking to my parents, processing through their issues, and started taking them to church. But even church was not one of those things where it wasn't like a spectator sport, right? It wasn't like, let's just show up and have them give us free stuff. It was like, man, there is something here to what relationship with God looks like. There's something here to even understanding like the principles of God, right? Like Christianity is not a bunch of rules. It's not who's better than who. It's like, dude, like there is freedom in boundaries, right? And I've learned this a lot having kids now, is like, the more boundaries I place on my kids, like you can't play in the street, you can't swing that bat wherever you want. Those boundaries create the opportunity for them to play more and to be safe, right? Like I'm not telling them not to play in the street because it's not fun. I'm not telling them they can't swing the bat with other kids around because I don't want them to have fun. It's like, I understand what's going to get you the most out of your time and out of your life. And so I think starting to understand that there's a heart behind, and like you said, it's not about religion. There's a heart behind God and the boundaries and the guidelines that he lays out. And as my parents started making those changes and fighting for that change in their life, bro, our whole family transformed, bro. Everything was different. And so for me, you know, going to church and faith and Christianity and relationship with God, it was never one of those things that was forced on me. It was something that I watched as my parents pursued God. I watched their lives change before my very eyes, dude. I watched my dad become a patient man. I watched my dad become a man who knew how to respond and to talk to me as a person. I watched him go from this guy that I kind of did not like at all to becoming one of my best friends, because he was literally pressing in and doing the hard work. And dude, I can't even express enough. Like it was something that was just real to me, bro. It wasn't just a belief system. It was a lifestyle. And like you said, it wasn't a religion, it was a relationship. And dude, that, like for me, it's one of those things I want to share with people, dude. I have a lot of friends struggling with a lot of stuff, man. And yeah, anyway, yeah, bro, it was never something that it was forced on me, dude. And I'm so grateful that I got to experience it the way that I did.
Yeah, this is riveting stuff, and I appreciate. I know the audience will as well, for pulling back the curtain and being so vulnerable, brother. Like the way you describe all that stuff, like it's a lifestyle, right? It's not just a belief system. And
Yeah,
isn't it the most powerful feeling is having faith and a belief in something that's bigger than us or higher than
yeah,
us? Like it's
yeah,
just it's so humbling and yet so powerful. You can never
yeah,
really get like destroyed because you have that faith, or at least
yeah,
hopefully
yeah,
you do. Hopefully you do.
yeah, for sure. And that's what I was even just going back to earlier when you were saying about like you just always have that hope and that confidence and that drive. And like for me, that's why it's a thing. That's why it takes discipline. That's why it's a thing to fight for me, because me at the core of who I am, bro, I am super insecure. I struggle with depression, right? I feel very insignificant. It's been a big thing that I've battled through my life. And so like to be able to find these things that can help me think the way that I need to think, because they give me hope and purpose outside of my own strength, right? That's the thing that gives me confidence. And this is where like, even because I do a lot of, you know, when I go places, I'll speak different places, and I've done a lot of stuff within the church. And I think one of the things that I like to challenge Christians with is, I think that one of the areas where sometimes as Christians we can do a poor job is we feel like we have to convince somebody of something, right? We need to show them that our belief system is better than their belief system, that what we say is right and wrong is better than what they say is right and wrong. And for me, what I've realized is that like I never want to feel like I'm trying to convince somebody of anything. Like for me, it's always just an invitation to learn the same way that I am, right? Like when I go into a space, I'm not like, hey, I know more than you. I'm like, hey, I have things that you might be able to learn from me. You have things I might be able to learn from you. I think that our goal is both to be satisfied and fulfilled in life and to have purpose and to know who we are, to not feel less than because I'm constantly comparing to the people doing more than me on Facebook and on TV and on Instagram, right? Like I think that we would all want to experience that. And so to me, I think it's more of an invitation, like, let's just do that together. Let's figure out what truth is together. If you don't agree with something I agree with, that I believe, then that's fine, man. Let's talk through it. Let's learn it, because maybe there's something that maybe there's an angle that we both haven't explored yet because we haven't had the right kind of conversation. And I think, you know, expanding that not just from Christians, but now to our culture, man, I think that we, unfortunately, because of social media, we live in a culture where a lot of healthy conversations, there's not really space for that to happen, which is why I'm saying I appreciate you so much having these kind of conversations, because I think that it's become so much about who's right and who's wrong that people say, well, how could you believe this? How could you say that? How could you do this? And we're asking a question, but we're never listening to the answer, right? We're not genuinely wondering, well, why do you believe that? Why do you think that? Have you ever thought of it this way? And then to be able to listen when the person tells me, have you ever thought of it this way? Right. And I think that's how we learn and grow as people, man. And for me, I think when we can stay humble and open to new perspectives in life and new angles, and also willing to share and not condemn, bro, I think that's where we all win, dude. I think that's where we all discover what it means, like for me, what it means to have a relationship with God, what it means to share that with people, because then I don't feel like I'm trying to make everyone believe what I believe. I feel like I'm getting to offer people something that I've seen change lives, bro. When I've seen miracles, when I've seen like all these things, like that's the kind of stuff that I feel like I can offer people. And yeah. Anyway, whatever. I don't want to ramble forever, but
that's it, bro. I couldn't agree more. Like, like politics and religion, sometimes like they divide us, right?
yeah,
And we're all a part of the collective. Like we're all a part of the infinite. And when we begin to believe that and think like that and behave like them, then we realize that we are all infinite potential. We're available. We're a vibrational match for all that stuff. There's so many things that try to divide us, right? And compete. How many likes did you get? Or like validation, or now like success is measured by numbers so quickly and so forth. But if you could just take a step back and be available for the perspective that we're all a part of the collective, like that's what it's all about, straight up.
Yeah. And I think even to ask the question, like, why does it bother me that this person disagrees with me, right? Because I think most of the time, if we were to be really honest with ourselves, I think it's pride. I don't think it's because we're trying to help someone understand. I think it's because we want to feel like we were right. And so I think that like even with what you just said, bro, like when this is a collective thing, and our motive really is to all grow together, even if that means I help someone else do better than me, right? That's when we all win, dude, because it's not even about doing better than someone, right? It's just about continuing to be effective in the space that we're at with the resources that we have. But like I said, like people are like, oh, it's easy for you to say you won AGT and you have this stuff now. But for me, like, bro, take this all away, and I would hope that I would still have the same outlook on life that I do today, right now, after winning America's Got Talent. I would hope that because of who I am, that I would continue to walk those things out because of all the stuff that we're talking about.
100%. I'm gonna ask you a weird question real quick. I know these are both your passions. If you could only choose one from here on out, music or magic?
Oh man, dude, I would have to say magic, dude. I love music. I love creating. I love performing, but I think music just became so much more stressful for a lot of reasons. I was trying to protect my voice. It's a very oversaturated market, and I think also the attention span of people sometimes is short. So for me, I write a song, I'm super passionate about it, and I'm trying to tell people, where the song came from, what it's about. They're like, dude, just play the song. We came here to hear music, not to hear you ramble, right? But like, because I'm so passionate about speaking and communicating, like I think the thing that with magic, it's so freeing, bro. Like, and to be honest, it's almost kind of like the most well-rounded art form I've ever found, because I'm doing like live special effects on stage, right? I'm communicating, I'm storytelling, I'm incorporating video stuff and music stuff. Off stage, I'm scripting, I'm building. There's so many arts and crafts, right? And building, how is this thing going to happen? How's this thing going to disappear? How's this signed card going to end up in the back of the room, right? Like I'm problem solving. And so for me, it's just such a well-rounded thing that it's so fun, dude. Like I get to do a little bit of everything when I'm creating magic, when I'm performing magic. And so I think I would have to choose magic all day long, bro.
Hell yeah. Is it true you grew up with severe ADHD and magic actually helped tame that?
I would say, I don't know about tame it. I don't know if like taming me is possible, but I think it helped. I think it helped focus it, right? So like, I mean, bro, I got all odds against me, bro. I'm Italian. I got ADHD and a minor version of Tourette's. Like somebody's getting slapped when I'm talking, only because I'm moving so much, right? Like, and so like, I think it's just a thing to help focus it. So for me, like, for example, I was always just bad at math, but there's some magic tricks that I've had to learn that involve math, and it's given me a reason to sit down and focus on my ability to do math, to listen to a person, right, to hear their answer and to be able to apply that into what I'm doing. Because there's a lot of magicians that just like, how you doing? Like, oh, I'm having a hard time going through a divorce right now. Oh, really? Well, here, pick a card, right? Like they're so focused on what they're doing, they didn't even hear the answer that the person just gave to them, right? Which is way more important than a card trick. And so I think that like, it's helped me to listen. It's helped me to even like with my hands, bro, like so much of magic, it's arts and crafts. Like if I showed you actually two of my guys that I'm working with, that I work with, they're here right now for the week. We blocked out this week. We're creating some new stuff for some things that I don't know if I'm really allowed to talk about right now, but they're here all week, bro. These guys, they create for David Copperfield and David Blaine and a bunch of the magic you'll see on America's Got Talent and Penn and Teller, Fool Us, all these things. And I mean, dude, you look at the room we're working in, bro. There's scissors and glue and paper and invisible thread and elastic, just stuff everywhere, dude. Cards and poster board, just because it's like we just sit there and we play, dude, and we create. And the next thing you know, we just have this beautiful thing where, we light something on fire and it appears up in Heidi's sign on top of the stage. Or, Terry has a picture of, some Xander in a box, and written on it is all the things the judges just said. Like that's what I get to do, man, is I get to, as an adult, I get to play and I get to have fun. I get to be creative and I get to watch that transform into something. So that feeds my ADHD all day long, bro.
That's it. Dustin, who's your favorite AGT judge?
Man, that's a good question. So Simon actually he's amazing, dude. Like I've gotten to have just some small interactions with him, like on a personal level, and it's just a really humble, like intense guy. Like when he's talking, he's very intentional with his words and the things that he's saying. But I don't know, man. I feel like for some reason it was really cool getting to connect with Heidi a little bit. My wife and I, even one day outside of the theater, we ran into her and got to talk with her a little bit. She's just really kind, man. Like she's just I don't want to say I was surprised. I wasn't like expecting her to be a bad person, right? But like, right. I think when you see people who are busy and at work, because as much as we like to believe they're just sitting there watching these being entertained, they're at work, dude, right? Like so they're doing a job. They show up, and so to see her ability to also just kind of communicate and engage was really great. But I mean, I think hands down across the board, Terry Crews is amazing. He's not one of the judges, but that dude is just, bro, he's inspired me in so many ways. I don't know if you've ever seen any of his stuff or know his story or read any of his books, but I mean, talk about vulnerability, like the impact that even like pornography and stuff has had on his marriage, and him just sharing things that a lot of people want to just keep to themselves and keep behind the curtain, man. That guy has just really come to the forefront of the things that have rocked his marriage and, and him as an individual, and kind of his journey on overcoming that stuff, bro. I just admire someone who can be honest about the stuff that they deal with behind closed doors.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Amen, brother. Only negative I got going on is we don't have 10 hours to chat. This is
right, of course, man.
My favorite part is though just the beginning of the friendship. I wanted to ask you this, and I'm sure the audience is curious too, because sometimes you hear this, but most people probably have no idea. To be honest with you, I don't. What exactly is witchcraft?
Yeah, man. So I would say that has a lot to do with someone's beliefs, spiritually or whatever. So I can give you my personal opinion, my experience answer. I would say most like magic that you would see performed on stages, if not all. And like I'm talking about, like you go on stage, you see a guy performing magic tricks. It's magic tricks, right? Even a lot of the guys who are doing the mentalism stuff and pretending to be psychic and doing these kinds of things, it's tricks, right? I have a lot of friends in this world too. There are just methods to the stuff that we're doing, right? I am never pretending to actually have powers. I think that's what's actually fun about it. I do believe that there is also like for me, so on the God side, like I think I've experienced all kind of crazy miracles through my life. Maybe not a ton of the same ones, but people being healed. Some traits of which, I mean, this could be a whole nother podcast in and of itself, dude, of the insane things that I've
get you back to a sequel.
Yeah, exactly. But the stuff where I've literally seen God coming in, answering prayers, engaging with us in a way that now becomes tangible, right? Because I believe there are, the powers of heaven, powers of hell. I think that a lot of times witchcraft comes from just the whole, I would say at its core. And a lot of times I would think people say they see it in America. I would see stuff like this more in like other countries. I would say some witchcraft is just people pretending, doing what I'm doing, right? Magic tricks. And I would say some people are tapping into something different. In my opinion, I would say maybe kind of darker. darker because of maybe just some of the fruit that would come from it, right? I mean, I can't just judge and make blanket statements, so I don't want to like overstep. For me, just speaking from experience, I think a lot of people are doing magic tricks and some people are trying to tap into something. And to me, if that something is not the only being that I know to be good and pure and holy, which is God, then it's coming from something less than that, right? So maybe that's the best way to sum up my belief. I believe the most pure and holy being in the universe, who created the universe, is God himself. So I would just say, if we're going to draw power from anywhere, why not have it be that?
Right.
If that's a good way to answer that question.
No, I totally understand and respect where you're coming from, and I appreciate the answer, brother, straight up. This is awesome, man. You have so many cool, exciting things going on right now.
Thanks,
what are you personally most excited about right now?
Yeah, bro. So for me, I'm working on a lot of cool new stuff, working on redoing my whole show, revamping the whole thing, really trying to hone in on just this whole thing that I've learned, bro. Like, well, one of the things with AGT is like, people have seen a lot of that part of me, the storytelling serious part, but my full show is a lot of really fun, high energy stuff, DJ on stage, cueing music tracks, just like, I want it to just feel like a party that everybody gets to be a part of, right? Because for me, that's life is just worth celebrating, dude. And so I think creating that environment, and once I create that connection between everybody, sorry, I got something in my eye.
That's okay, buddy.
Once I create that connection between everybody, I then go into more of what people saw on AGT, which is that last final mic drop moment of like, hopefully something that is going to leave us feeling like we have power inside us to do something amazing too. Again, not just magic tricks, but something meaningful. And so I think the most exciting thing, bro, is now really taking everything that I've learned in this last season and putting that into, a 30 to 60-minute show where people feel like they get a little bit of everything. And have some new TV spots coming up that I'm really excited about.
Oh yeah.
Some stuff we're working with now. Stuff that, bro, I'm just excited for you to see, and maybe even come to LA, bro, and see one of these performances.
I would love
that
that.
We'll do there.
I would
Yeah.
love that.
Let's make it happen, dude.
Hell yeah, done. And we'll connect after this. We'll exchange numbers with the case may be.
Yeah.
Best part about you right now, in my opinion, is you're just getting warmed up.
Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, I just, for me, man, I just say that I have a lot to learn, dude. And, I'd say 5 years from now, we have this conversation, you ask me the same questions, and my answers might be a little bit different, right? But I just like to be the kind of person who is forever a student, right? When someone's asking questions about magic, about performance, about Christianity, about witchcraft, right? About like any of these things, I want to be forever a student to learn and understand people, to learn what it means to be a father, what it means to be a husband, what it means to be a magician and a performer. And so I think that's the exciting thing, dude, is there is no I've arrived. It's just constant growth, constant learning. And that to me is the best thing about life, dude, is we're just on this journey to keep learning, and learning is a very fun thing.
Yeah, you got a great attitude, brother, and also like your humility is really impressive. Like, let's be honest, we don't know what we don't know, right? And
Yeah.
understand that, and you're always a sponge and learning and surrounding yourself with people that can help you improve and so forth. That's the right attitude.
Yeah. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that, man. And likewise, dude, it's been super cool getting to have this conversation and hearing you even taking time to ask the kind of questions that matter, bro.
Yeah.
It's amazing, dude.
Thank you, buddy. So the audience is blowing up. They're very hardcore and loyal and engaging. What's the best way for all of them in the community to support you, buddy?
Yeah, man, I would say I'm not like super active on social media and stuff, but man, I would say anytime that I'm around any of these spaces that are in, I would just love to meet people, bro. And so I would say the biggest thing is like, come to a show, come hang out, wait afterwards. I love coming out and talking to people and meeting them. I think just, to find space to do that. Obviously you can hit me up on like Instagram, any of my YouTube stuff, some things coming up on AGT. Definitely just to be there supporting. Voting is always awesome. But yeah, bro, more than that, I would just say like on my website, which I'm also redoing, so maybe don't go to it now because there's not a whole lot. But as we start putting up like our tour dates and stuff, man, please, if I'm in your city, if you're listening to this, just come hang out, see a show. Let's grab food, bro. I'm always down to eat. So
are you doing shows in New York? I would love to get in with you.
So actually, yeah, I'm in Rochester, October 14th, I want to say. I don't have a calendar in front of me right now, but I think October 14th, which I know that's a little far from Manhattan, right? But I'm just starting to take it. So 2023 will be a lot more saturated with dates. Right now, I'm just like, I'm in a rebuilding phase of, I just want to kind of get back to the drawing board and start fresh. But 2023, I'll have a lot more stuff happening, which I'm really excited about.
I love it. It is awesome. So many exciting things going on. How can I personally support you?
Bro, let's just keep chatting and being friends, dude. Let's just keep having these conversations, man. I love it. I always love the chance here, and I would love to just be able to ask you a million more questions too. I did all the talking, so yeah.
Hell yeah. It's just the beginning, like I said. And D, I want you to know you're the definition of perspective, faith, and growth. Taking your life experience to spreading positivity, light, and deep truths. You're a true gladiator, visionary, role model, and beacon of hope for anybody coming up to their big goals and aspirations. I could personally guarantee your best yet to come. Keep on spreading your wings and leaving your mark on this world. So much love and respect for you. Thank you so much for stopping by and dropping these priceless nuggets today.
Hey, thank you, bro. Thank you for having me, man. It's an honor, dude. I really do appreciate you having me on here.
What an awesome conversation.
Thanks, dude. No, I genuinely do appreciate you having me on here, man. Thank you.
Yeah, that was great, buddy. I'll keep you. We'll keep in touch, and I'll let you know when we're gonna drop it and so forth. And we big community and so forth, so we'll hype it up.
Yeah.
We're a fan. I love it. I love what you're doing, buddy. And your attitude is awesome, man. Very,
thank you, bro. I appreciate it. Well, thank you, man, too, for like, sometimes I do these things and people will just, which is fine, and I get it. I just feel like you're asking all the right kind of questions, the things that I'm excited about, because like, I mean, at the end of the day, dude, and this is like an honest thing. I just want to live the kind of life where like, winning AGT is one of the least significant things that I've done, right? And that's the thing that most people have seen, but I just love the ability to connect like human to human, bro. Like, what is the stuff that we can just keep doing? Because that's the stuff that we can inspire people to do. The reality is, in the past 16 years, there's been only 16 people on the planet who have won America's Got Talent. So I can't just promise people, pursue your dreams and you're going to win America's Got Talent too, right? I can't say that. But what I can promise people is like, man, you just keep fighting to have good perspective. You keep fighting to find the things in life that matter, to have the mental disciplines, to be able to eliminate distractions in your life, dude. I promise you're going to make an impact that matters. And it might not be for a million people. It might be for one. And that's one of the greatest things you can do, bro. You change one person's life, dude. It's something that you're going to have under your belt for forever.
My man,
so, man, I appreciate you. Like,
I have a very strong intuition. I think it's just the beginning of the friendship. I want to support you any way I can. What's the best way to stay connected?
Let me my number. I was gonna say, I'll do it right now. So whoops, I want to FaceTime somebody. What's your number?